Yo, what's going on, guys? Anthony Hartzog here. I quit alcohol for 365 days last year, and here are some lessons that I've learned. Before we get started, I want to explain to you the reason for me quitting alcohol last year. So I didn't have a single alcoholic beverage all of 2022 going into 2023 as well. The initial reason for me not drinking or stopping my drinking was my wife. So we were she's about 2 or 3 months at the end of her pregnancy. And I said, this was December 26, 2021. And I said, all right, so we're going to have our daughter, late February, early March. And I said, my New Year's resolution is to stop drinking. And when we have the baby, we'll go back to drinking. So December 26 came. I had my final drink. It was after Christmas. We celebrated. And I didn't think that I would go a full year. Our daughter was born the end of February, and I said, all right, I'm going to go back to drinking. And that came around, and I decided not to. And then I said, all right, so I'll have my first drink on my birthday, which was May. So we're about halfway through the year. We go out to celebrate, and we go to a restaurant. We get alcohol, we get drinks, we get bottles, and they came around and I just didn't want to drink. And now my friends are asking me, like, what's going on? Why don't you drink? And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't want to drink. So then we start to go out. We start to, as we normally do. And I just don't have the urge to actually drink. So I ended up going a full 365 days without drinking. I also want to tell you what I learned. A few things. You need to have support as you are going through this. If you decide to not do something for a full year or decide to do something, you need to have support. So when we first started, people that didn't drink, they would just say, all right, well, it's fine. You don't drink or whatever. But people that did drink asked me, why am I not drinking? So the first thing I had to do was give myself a reason, because I knew every time I wasn't drinking in a social crowd, someone would ask me, why aren't you drinking? So I needed to have a reason strong enough so that people didn't come back to me and ask me for a drink or whatever. So my reason was, I said I want to do this thing for a full year of not drinking. So, people ask me, all right, we're 10 months in, we're 11 months in, and we're a full year in. And people ask me, will I go back to drinking? And my answer is, I am not sure. But I need to have a strong reason so that people didn't continue to ask me this. So another thing you got to figure out before you get started is, what is your relationship to drinking? So with me, my relationship to drinking was in social settings. So I wouldn't come home on a Friday. I wouldn't come home after work on a Wednesday and decide, all right, I want to pour up a drink or anything like that. So it was just me saying that I just didn't want to drink anymore. And I didn't have any reason to say that I would go back to it. I just decided that my relationship to drinking needed to be stronger than me just saying, I don't want to do this anymore. So I didn't decide what my next step was. Another thing I learned while not drinking was that my conversations became a lot stronger. So especially in social settings, when you're drinking, you're normally an outgoing person. A lot of times you may or may not remember the conversation you had. But this forced me to go outside the box and kind of continue conversations. Because normally when we're out, we're having a good time, you're going to be surrounded by people who are drinking. So it forced me to keep conversations going stronger that was not completely surrounded by drinking. And another thing is that you don't ever regret waking up one day and say, hey, I wish I would have drank last night. And you realize that you have more of those conversations the day after drinking saying, I wish I didn't drink. So you never wake up having regret of not drinking. And going a full year without a hangover, oh my God. I don't know if you guys ever had those hangovers where you wake up and say, oh my God, please, never again will I drink. I had to talk into the mic for that one. And I've had those conversations with the Lord Jesus Christ multiple times before. So going a full year without having that, oh my God, I wish I didn't drink moment, which is absolutely a game changer for me. Another thing was that I was injured for a better half of 2022. So I wasn't able to work out. And since I wasn't able to work out, you would think that I would have gained a lot of weight. And looking back on it, I gained less than 10 pounds throughout all of last year. I'm normally around 180 and I went up to 188. So January when I weighed myself, I was only 188. So I only gained 8 pounds and I didn't work out for more than 6 months. So I think a lot of that was due to me not drinking. You get those cravings, especially when you're drinking that night. You get those cravings after you leave the bar. You want to eat, 12, 1, 2 in the morning. I didn't have those cravings. So that could be a reason as well. And then also that next day hangover, when you just wake up and then when you're able to eat, you want to eat everything. So I didn't have those late night cravings. I didn't have those after hangover meals that people normally have. So I think that could be a reason why I didn't gain much weight throughout the year of not drinking. Another thing was it forced me to build relationships outside of drinking, because when you have social settings and you're drinking, that becomes a social crutch for you. Hey, let's go grab a beer. Hey, let's go do this. And it all involved drinking. So a lot of it forced me to just have strong relationship with my friends and family. So we're like, all right, let's go hit the gym. What activities can we do outside of just going to drink? So let's go hit the gym. Let's go, let's bring our kids together. So I realized a lot of 2022 was just us bringing our kids and family together and just building and bonding. Of course, there were drinks there, but a lot of our social settings came outside the bar, of us just being outside, having a good time, or even inside with friends and family. So it forced me to have and build better relationships outside of drinking. So you got to do things that are different to be different. So I know a lot of, you see a lot of these clips right now, people are deciding, last, couple months, oh, I'm not going to drink in 2023, but it forces you to think differently when the normalcy of drinking has become just so regular for us in the day-to-day. To have someone that's not drinking, you may say, hold up, wait a minute, why aren't you drinking? And it sparks another conversation, and people want to know your why, and and a lot of people say they can't do it. And I truly believe if you don't have, and I don't want to say alcoholic, but if you don't have any of those tendencies, you can truly just stop drinking cold turkey. Now, that's something that's different. So it forces you to do something different. If you want to be different, you got to do different things that are different. So another reason is that you wouldn't make the same mistakes when you're sober. So you have less excuses when you are drunk. So a lot of times we have those drunk nights, whether it be you get into a car accident, or you get pulled over, or you get into a fight, or you just do something that you probably shouldn't be doing in the first place. You are less likely to make mistakes when you are sober because you're on your P's and Q's. I remember going into a bar one night and I wasn't drinking, and I'm thinking about this whole situation now. It could have went extremely worse if I was drinking. I was able to think clearly. I was able to, calm my friends down. I was able to calm everyone down me around. But if I was drunk or drinking, I probably would have been, ready to go, ready to turn up and kind of do something that we probably shouldn't have been doing in the first place. So it definitely forces you to have less excuses. I'm in my zone longer. There are less distractions around me. So we've made the most money we've ever made in 2022. And I think some of that is due to me not drinking, not having that mental clarity every single day, having that mindset, like, let's get up, let's get it. And again, this goes back to not having those hangovers. So I know you lose a lot of days laying in bed when you have a hangover. So I was in my mental zone longer. I'm waking up earlier. I'm waking up ready to go, getting to work. So those are just things that it kept me in my zone longer, not drinking. Another thing is that I'm proud to say that I don't drink instead of I'm not drinking right now. And this goes back to that conversation where people ask you, why aren't you drinking? You could say, I don't drink. You get a couple months in, you could just say, I don't drink. And people just don't, ask you any more questions around that. And you get to say that you're proud to say that I don't drink. And that was a big one. And I think the last one for me was when my wife told me that my daughter only knows a sober dad. And I thought that was just absolutely mind-blowing that, she would recognize that. My daughter doesn't know a drunk father. My daughter doesn't know a drunk dad. My daughter doesn't know a drunk Anthony. She only knows a sober one. She only knows me here in this present state. So I think that's a major key. So I also want to give you a few things that I did that allowed me to continue the year 365 days without drinking. So number one, you got to have outlets. So my outlet, especially in social settings, was having a glass of seltzer water, having a glass of Sprite, or even if the bar that you're at or social setting has any non-alcoholic beverages, Heineken Zero became my go-to. So if they want to sponsor me, shout out to Heineken Zero. You guys kept me sober for an entire year, and I appreciate that. So I thank you for that. Another non-alcoholic beverage is called Free, and they create non-alcoholic wines. They can create non-alcoholic champagnes. So that is FRE, and my wife was actually using this when she was pregnant. So I took that, and I have a bottle on ice and a bottle on ice in the fridge. So Heineken Zeros, seltzer waters when I'm in social settings, Sprites, things that are in clear glasses, and just allows you to just keep that sip, right? So when you're out and about, you're having a good time, you just want to keep that glass in your hand And I think that, or a beer in your hand, it's not like you eat, and it's not like you're trying to fake it. You're trying to make sure you aren't asked the question. So if I got a glass in my hand, no one's going to ask me to drink. No one's going to ask me if I want to drink. If I have a bottle in my hand, no one's going to ask me, do I want to drink? Do I want, anything like that? Because I already got it. So there's no need to fake the funk when you're already doing it. Having friends and family support you. So again, this goes back to you saying that I'm not drinking, and also let them know the reason why. Let them know that if you got any big goals, a date around it. And people will tend to not ask you anymore once you bring them into your goals, if you bring them into what you're doing. So I hope that helps someone, whoever's thinking about not drinking. It started as me just saying I'm not going to do it for a few months, and it turned to me not drinking for a full year. Now, am I going to sit here and say I will never drink again? Absolutely not. Do I know when I will drink? No idea. Do I know if I will drink again? Who knows? But I hope this video helps someone, whoever needs it, if they decide, hey, I want to go cold turkey. And again, I was a big social drinker. I went to one of the top drinking schools in the United States of America, University of Albany, UA, and we were proud drinkers. Like, drink people under the table, drink people under the bus. And we did that on a consistent basis. And I think going to a college like that forces you to always have that mindset that you're a drinker. So again, I think anybody could do this, especially if you have support in your corner. And I also drop some tips that could help you get through those tough times. Drop a comment below if you could resonate with this video, if there was any tips that helped you, or even if you're on this journey, let me know how I can support you, man. So please like this video, please subscribe, and I appreciate you being here. Peace.